I wanted to record it, so I had to start the
we're recording.
one.
So full disclosure, everybody, we are recording. So really the mission and the purpose is the advancement of women and girls in our community, and a vision of a community of equality where power and opportunity are not limited by gender. We do this through a lot of different avenues. We're not just a grant making organization. So we do grant making, we do strategic initiatives, we do invest in larger programs to really impact women and girls. We do a lot of education and community awareness, and we do a little bit of advocacy as well. So we see all of those things having to work together to make the impact that we want to have for women and girls in our community. So we are really excited because we have two paths this year. Traditionally, we have had one path, and it's been $5,000 to $10,000 and 1 year grants, and everybody goes down the same path and submits applications to us. So this year we're excited to have two paths: an impact grants path and an innovative pathways path is what we're talking about today. So this really stems from the Women's Fund focus and priorities, and really wanted to have, how can we have that larger long-term impact? We know we're not going to solve so many of the problems or so many of the challenges that women and girls face with one year grants. So we really have spent a lot of time, even over the past 3 years, really talking about how can we have the greatest impact in our community for women and girls, because we have this special area that we really focus on, and that's what makes us unique and different. So how can we really leverage that as best we can? So the two grant types. So impact grants are what you are used to if you've applied for grants from us before. If you've heard about the Women's Fund grant making, this is our single year grants up to $10,000 supporting programs and initiatives. So this is not changing since the past couple of years when we've done our focus and our priorities. So this is what most people are used to, this traditional single 1 year grant. So the Innovative Pathways Grant, we are looking for grants that we want to commit $20,000 up to $20,000 a year for up to 3 years. So we, with an intent to renew, to support current or developing efforts that are working to address more systematic challenges facing women and girls in the Fox City. So here we're really looking for what are those bigger, deeper things? How can we go deeper for a longer period of time in partnership to address a specific challenge facing women and girls? And we've really talked about this for a long time, about how we could do multi-year grants, how we could make a bigger impact, how we could really make an investment. I like to talk about this as investing, and how can we really make an investment in the lives of women and girls, realizing that that sometimes it just takes a lot more time and a lot more thought and strategy to have this bigger impact. So we'll get into that a little bit more, but those are the two grant types that we have this year. To be eligible for either one of these pathways, this is all the same. So consistent with our mission, our focus areas, our priority areas, our geographic service area is the Community Foundation. So for those who have worked with the Community Foundation, we have the same area of Calumet, Outagamie, Shawano, Wapaka, and northern Winnebago County. So it does need to fall into one of those areas. Tax exempt is the same. Some organizations that do not have a tax exempt status have used a fiscal agent, and we can work with you on that. And government agencies typically qualify as well. Just let us know what you're thinking to make sure that there's no hiccups there with being able to grant to a government agency on that. So nothing has changed there. We will not fund. So this is, a lot of this is typical. There's a couple of new things at the end. So this particular grant is not for individuals, endowments, or capital campaigns. We will not support programs that promote religious activities or beliefs. We have supported agencies that are founded on religious beliefs, but your program cannot dictate a religious belief or practice. So everybody has to be included and invited. This is not for political parties, event sponsorships. We really focus on, and we'll get into this a little bit more, that we really want programs that focus on a clear and specific, unique need for women and girls. So please don't say, well, it's the same program, you just pay for the girls and somebody else will pay for the boys. No. You know, that's not what we're looking at. We're really looking at what are those unique needs for women and girls, and what does the program have to look like to best support women and girls that's different from maybe their male counterparts. Two things that we added here is Fund the Gap, and I call it Fund the Gap, kind of like Mind the Gap. Fund the Gap, we aren't going to fund something that is just, well, insurance covers 50% of it, so we need somebody else to pay the other 50%. So that Fund the Gap, I call it. We decided we're not going to fund that, and that was a long conversation with committee members about, because we get so many applications. So just traditionally, you're just covering what insurance doesn't cover. That is not something that we will consider funding, we decided, and something that's barrier removal only. So if you're looking for a pot of money to put in a pot and use that money for just barrier removal, that is also not something that we will consider funding at this point in time. Again, not that those things aren't important, it's just how can we help you so you're not writing for something that we probably won't fund. So we just want people to know upfront that those are two things that we decided that we are not going to do with this particular pot of money. So this year.
Julie?
Yes.
For the Fund the Gap, can you just say a little bit more about that? Like, so if you're trying to piece together funding from different funding sources, that is not something that would be covered?
Yeah, no, that what I'm talking specifically about is if you bill insurance, and if you bill insurance reimburses you 50%, but your cost of service is $75, $50, cost of service is $75, and you said, we just need to make up that difference that insurance doesn't cover.
So specific to that.
So it's really specific to that. I can't really think of too many more examples of Fund the Gap. We realize there's our gaps, right? You're asking different funders for money. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So Fund the Gap specifically related to medical insurance coverage, I guess is probably the best way to say that. Thank you for that clarification. Some of you know the Women's Fund 2-3 years ago has really developed a focus on priority areas, and this really guides our work. Again, because we are such, we do something really specific, and we really wanted to have that greater and deeper impact. So our board spent a lot of time figuring out what is it we do and where can we add value to the needs of women and girls in our community with our funding. So our focus is advancing economic opportunities for women and girls. And then we have developed 3 priority areas around that: community education and training, life skills, mentoring and support, and mental and emotional wellness. So we also evaluate our grants based on, does it fit into our focus area, and does it address at least one of these 3 particular priority areas. So just to talk a little bit about that, is that education and training, we know that education and training is really important to empower women and girls to get those jobs that pay a family sustaining wage. When we talk about education and training, that can be any kind of education and training. It can be college degrees, it can be technical certificates, it can be really anything that furthers a woman's or girl's chance of being able to choose to go after that job or career that pays that family sustaining wage. So really addressing barriers that might prohibit girls or women from attending higher education, staying in higher education, even the opportunity to access any trainings or certificates or anything that really would help women. And so they may include, these are just ideas and examples. So one-on-one advising and goals planning, addressing some basic needs for women to stay in school or to pursue that particular training, connections to support services, to successfully complete their educational goals. So really anything around that. How can we help more women access that training and educational needs so they have those opportunities? for some of those jobs that will support them and their family. So the second one is life skills mentoring and supports. And this is really all about how can we help women who really need that extra boost, who need somebody in their corner, who needs those support systems to be a resource for them as they're working for their goals. They may not have that within their own social circles, family networks. So how can we help more women who, I often say, need 2 steps forward and 2 steps back? And so this is an area that we're really interested in developing further because we see this as a large need. There's been programs and initiatives that have done this work historically in our community that haven't been sustainable. So we really are looking at who can partner with us to make this happen. And things we're looking at are, that mentor, kind of that accountability partner, that cheerleader, whatever word you want to put on there. How can we help with life and self-advocacy skills, connections and navigation of community resources, and then personal development and cultivation of relationships. So those are things that we're looking for that would fall under this particular focus area of life skills, mentoring, and sports. And then mental and emotional wellness. This is really about the mental and emotional well-being of women and girls. We know that's taken a huge toll in recent years. So these are things that we are looking at, more so not the clinical nature of it, because we know our funding doesn't go far, on the clinical side of it. But how can we do resilience and wellness and managing stressors and really things that are unique coping mechanisms for women and girls to build that resiliency, dealing with emotions, dealing with stressors, just making sure we're all have the resources we need to be mentally well. So those are things that would fall under this particular focus area. So really, you are the experts. You're working in this day to day. You know better than anybody what the needs are. We really want great ideas, bold ideas. How can we just really help, be on the path towards lasting change for women and girls? It doesn't have to be new. It doesn't have to, can be something you've been thinking about, something you've been wanting to do, something you've been wanting to try. We do not ask you who else is funding this program because we don't care. If we're the first ones there, we're excited as heck about that. So we will test programs, we'll pilot programs, let's give it a whirl and see how it goes. So we are really wanting to have you just think about what you think would work and what you think you might want to try, or what you're already doing that's working really well that you want to continue doing. So that's really, we're really flexible in terms of that. New program, old program, never been tried before. Nobody's ever funded it before. That's all something that we will look at and consider. So just next steps and some criteria. So as we were looking at this, and I might kind of refer us to, there's a document. So because this Innovative Pathways program is new, we spent a lot of time really kind of clarifying what does that mean. So we developed 2 documents. One, and this is all in your packets or on the website. One is called Innovative Pathways Grant Program. So it really gets into a little bit more detail about what we're looking for, some of the criteria, what could be considered. And then this is which grant making track fits best. This is really, hopefully, is kind of a clear comparison between the 2. So as you can see on the Innovative Pathways program, it could be working within a coalition to address some of these issues. It could be working with collaborative partners, even collaborations across sectors. It doesn't have to be, if you're mental health, you only work with your mental health peers. You could, it could be housing working with mental health, or it could be, there's a lot of interesting things that the Women's Fund has been able to fund that are like, oh, those are a couple of partners I never would have put together, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense that they're working together. So something that's maybe longer term, something maybe you need to test some things, maybe you need to pilot some things. That's why it's longer term, because we know that even just figuring out how this program will work best isn't going to happen in a year's time. So really for the potential for our longer term impact, maybe systematic change, maybe looking at different ways of solving problems. So that's really the Innovative Pathways program. So that will give you some.
All right, let me get my down.
Speed everybody. That will give you some thoughts on kind of what we're looking at when we're considering those. The criteria though is similar for all of them. Does it address one of our priority areas? Does it address our focus area, and does it meet the unique needs of women and girls? So we call that a gender lens investing or gender lens grant making. Those are the three really primary criteria that we look at for all of our programs. The focus area, the priority, and does it meet the unique needs of women and girls? Then if you're asked to go on to the full application, then we'll look at goals and outcomes and implementation and all of those kind of fun things. So really the process is similar. We do still have that LOI or preliminary application that we've had for years. That just gives us a good look at kind of what you're thinking, and hopefully you don't have to spend a lot of time doing that. We're not going to ask for outcomes and budgets and all of that in that initial LOI. And then the full application we'll get into a little more detail. So there is a LOI. If you go to the next page, there is a LOI that will be due on January 17th, and we'll ask agencies and programs to move on to full application, and that will be due in mid-March. We are, with the Innovative Pathways Grant, going to have a little bit more conversations with folks, because we really look at this as a partnership. We really want to work together and help you meet your goals, and how else the Women's Fund may be able to support you in that journey. So there's going to be a little bit more. There's going to be a little bit more there for the Innovative Pathways grants, and then so you'll know in the springtime, no matter which track. You'll know early to mid-spring what the decisions have been made, and all of the dates are on our website, and it is also in our grants criteria document there. All of the dates and all of the different steps in the process is in that as well. So that is what I have for you. Again, this grants criteria is updated for the second pathways that we have, and then the Innovative Pathways for detail, and then the comparison between the two. Hopefully that gives you a lot of great information as you think about this. Stacy.
I just wanted to add that for both grant applications, you do need to apply for both if you wanted to apply for both. And we ask that you really look at the criteria to where maybe you have two different programs that this would work for, or something new and innovative that you want to try. You would maybe go for the longer term Innovative Pathways grant, but that doesn't mean that we still won't consider a program that you already have that impacts women and girls. So you would have to apply to both. You would have to put that LOI together for both. Just so that's clear, you'll know either way. And then when we get to that funding area, we will have a grant celebration that is a required attendance as well. So the date will be in May, TBD, but you would just need to attend that as well. I think
That's why we do our grant celebration, and we highlight all the grantees, and so it's a great time to tell people about the great work that you're doing in that particular program. And yeah, that's will be this year. So we give you the big check and the little check. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is wonderful, so thank you. Quick question about the multi-year Innovative Pathways grant.
Yes.
I know this is the launch of it.
Yeah.
Will this be open annually, or will you wait until the first 3 years have class and then it begins?
That is something we are talking about. Yeah, so that is probably TBD. But we're hoping that we're able to do this every year, and then ultimately have 3, going. But we're learning alongside with everybody else, kind of on how we can best do a multi-year grant. We don't want to have all of our money wrapped up in multi-year grants and then be like, sorry, nobody else can apply, for the next 3 years because we're all in these multi-year grants. So, so we're working that out with our resources that we have for grant making. So, thank you. Yeah.
Go back and find what you meant by barrier enrollment.
Yep, so if your request is strictly, we need funds to put in a barrier removal pot to support people for transportation or we'll support transportation and childcare, but it's baked into a program or initiative you're doing. Not just we're gonna put your $10,000 in a pot and then use it as we need it, and that's all it is. That is what we're talking about with that. So yeah, we realize that a lot of these programs have barrier removal in their budgets because that's an important part of the program working. But if it's strictly like, nope, we just need money to put in our pot, that's what we're not going to consider. Any questions from the virtual folks? You just did such a great job. Yeah. On our website, the grants page up there.
Yes.
So people can kind of see how it looks like on our website. So this is our grants. If you go to the Women's Fund and then grants and then apply for a grant, we'll land on this page. So how do you apply? So the application will be open on November 11th. And this is the application. This is using the Community Foundation's grants portal. So people have applied to the Community Foundation for grants in the past or to the Women's Fund for the first time last year, the year before, will already have a login, if you will, to the system. If you don't, you will have to create a new account. So if there's any problems with that, let us know. But you can go in and set that up at any time. And then you'll be able to apply for any grant within the Community Foundation, whether it's us or AEF or Appleton Education Foundation or any of the community grants that the Community Foundation offers. That's just one login. So that will be up on November 11th. And then you can see the dates. The first date is January 17th for that preliminary application. We call it a preliminary application. The system calls it an LOI, letter of intent. So it's the same thing. So that is the first one that you will do. So then if you below the deadlines are the information that we have provided you today or the people online. You can see that all there. So feel free to go back and take a look at that. Contact us at any time. We're happy to talk through ideas or questions or clarification, for your specific thought or idea that you wanted to talk through with us. That would be great. I welcome those conversations. So that is where you can find us. To receive email updates, let us know. Put on our email list. We do have a email list just for nonprofit partners. So if you're not on that list, if you didn't get an invite from us, please let Stacy know, and she'll make sure that you're on our list, so you continue to get notifications about opportunities for what's all the other fun stuff.
The recording for today will also be on the website along with the PowerPoint to revisit any questions we might have addressed, or if you have a grant writer that's not here that is curious about, for instance, what barrier removal means for us, or funding the gap. So that'll be on the website later today as well. And then I will also send an email to everyone who registered today, in person and virtual, just to let you know when the application is open. And then also on the Community Foundation website, or it'll be the same portal overall, but for the Community Foundation, when you either log in or if you've never created an account before, there are steps on there as it makes it pretty easy. Because it looks not easy sometimes.
I can add something. I'm on the committee. Hello, everybody. I'm Estella. Just want to make sure, I know that we were discussing this in our group for, when we met about the pathways, the Innovative Pathways grant. If you need any examples of what that looks like, I know we had some discussions around there. Feel free to ask. I mean, if you'd like to, Julie, maybe you can kind of provide an example of maybe what that looks like. I know we talked about, was it the Boys and Girls Club or no, it was the Girl Scouts.
Oh.
You gave an example of that, and that kind of was helping me to understand.
Mhm. So last year, the Girl Scouts in Catalpa did a joint program together, and that was related to how can we help youth who are in mental health treatment have more access to the outdoors, because we know the outdoors is good for all our mental health. So so that's a program that we funded that was, it's when you think about it, it's not like, it's kind of like, well, yeah, of course, but it was not something that was kind of a natural partnership that I would have thought of. They just happened to be at the same event together where we were talking about mental health. And they said, hey, we have this outdoors program, and kiddos, especially if they're in more residential or partial hospitalizations, more intense treatment programs, you don't get outside for safety reasons. But how can we help them get outside safely? Because we know that's so good for their mental health. So just things like that, like ideas that maybe just spark, like, yeah, that makes sense of why we want to do that. So let's give that a try and see if that would work, right? So thought is we need to keep kids safe and inside all the time, and well, let's try to get them outside safely. So just different ways of thinking about how we do some of the work.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah. Happy to answer any questions. You guys are happy to talk to each other. People online, do you have any questions or comments or anything you want to share?
You take compliments, whatever.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. I know this is quick, but hopefully that's good, right? We're trying not to overcomplicate it. So feel free to stick around if you would like and chat, or feel free to get on with the rest of your day. Early voting is happening now in Appleton, I know. I don't know about other municipalities. So if you're like, well, I have a whole hour block, so if you need to do anything like that, feel free. So, okay, have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you.
Reflection, which we have.